Hey everybody, I'm Matt Kelly, and today I'd like to show you some adaptive music that I put together using FMOD. First off, my goal was fairly simple. I just wanted to create something that would go from an explore loop to a combat loop and then back again, with transitions in between. And right now you're listening to the explore loop at its lowest intensity. Occasionally there are some drum hits that will trigger, they'll trigger randomly about 30% of the time. I did that because I wanted to increase the variability of the piece without having too much going on constantly. Also, as the intensity in the game rises, there are some other loops that will kick on or fade in, and this is what that sounds like. So this intensity knob right here is actually really important for this. It's the whole reason why going from loop to loop works, essentially. So we have these loop regions that say, anything in here, please loop. And I put a condition on it for intensity and said that whenever the intensity parameter is below 50, play this loop. And I said, whenever it's above 50, play this loop. Along with that, you can do fun stuff like automate tracks with volume. You can do effects if you want to, but I just kept it simple with volume. And also, in order to get from this loop to that loop at any point, I needed to add something called a transition region, which functions similar to this loop region, but in a transition sense. So basically, I told it I would like to quantize each bar, and if at any point the intensity knob is above 50 on this bar, or any bar, that's what these green lines are, transition to marker B. Now marker B is where we have our combat loop. So kind of the handy thing about these transition regions is that every time it is told to go to, in this case, marker B over here, it will play a transition that you can put together in here. And I think on this one I have these loops fading out and like a little variation on the synthesizer loop, and I think this keeps playing, and same with this melody. They just fade out and some drums come in and some strings come in. And also there is a cymbal riser, which was kind of tricky because as you'll hear, it comes in during the transition, but also the hit on there needs to happen on the downbeat of this loop. And the way I did that was I made it asynchronous, which basically says, play, if the playhead crosses over the region, play it and let it keep playing. Don't stop even though the playhead is no longer over it. It makes it really handy for situations like this. And when you want something to trigger and keep playing, but if there's a loop region, you don't want it to keep triggering. So that's what I did. So right now we're gonna kick the intensity up to above 50 so we can get over to our combat loop and see what that sounds like. Alright, so we're in our combat loop now, and it is definitely more intense than our explore loop, but it's still not too crazy. We got some drums going on, and we got this sort of like texture thing in the background. So what I did was I said, instead of using intensity, I used health, and I said as your health gets lower, I want this synth loop to fade in, and when it gets pretty low, I want this higher version of that same synth loop to swap out with it. And also you're going to notice that there's a low pass filter on the master bus that's going to make things just sound kind of underwater and like your heart's racing and whatnot. But let's look at that and let's listen to it and see what that sounds like. So this is what happens when your health drops. Super low health. So let's pretend we picked up a health pack or something. Whoa! Yay. I mean, that's pretty much it for the combat loop. It's all the same principles apply. You know, when you use this transition region, basically it says go to marker A, which is the explore loop, whenever you detect that the intensity is below 50. So we're gonna do that, and we're gonna play the transition bit and get back to explore. So let's check that out. And we're back. Well, I hope that this was helpful in some way, and if you have any questions, feel free to get in touch with me. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.